Ladies and people who have a SpongeBob SquarePants hat currently on, which is a lot of you. That's like a big target audience. Andy here. I went from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy and SpongeBob hats. If I can do it, you sure as hell can too. Let's have a little casual chat, a little conversation about my lovely girlfriend, Imogen. So she and I have been together for 6 years. This is she and I. Oh, we look so cute. So cute. Oh, so adorable. I don't know what the fuck that is. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what that is. I'm not very good at selfies, am I? And I chose these. These are like the best selfies that I chose to show you guys and girls on the stream. Holy shit. This is us. This is us like 5 years ago when we were first together. Look, I still had hair. She has such a baby face. She was like 19 years old then. And we were tripping on LSD during this photo. And see how she's holding a yellow object and I'm holding a pink object, or she's holding a pink object up against me? That's because we're tripping on LSD and I was like, "You're so yellow." And she was like, "You're so pink." And then we found these objects that we thought represented our current colors. If you look, she does actually look yellow because she's Asian. Her dad's like half, or her dad's full Asian. So she's 50% Asian. She does actually look yellow. I know that's racist or whatever, but I'm pink. That's probably racist against white people. I'm so fucking pink. Anyway, whatever. So we've been together for about 6 years now, and we do more than just pose in bad photos together. We have shared absolutely, or we share absolutely everything with each other. I have, or she has, and I have fully embraced complete and utter deep honesty about everything. There's nothing that we wouldn't share with each other. We've built this entire coaching business together. She has been here a lot for building this YouTube channel. Some of you have seen that she started doing content for the channel as well. We both have a growth mindset or a self improvement mindset with our relationship. And we literally aim to make the relationship like 1% better each week. Like we've literally taken the relationship as a self improvement project. We've poured a lot of love, a lot of care, a lot of time into making it the best relationship that we both could possibly build. And we're always trying to build and learn and grow. And, we're still figuring everything out. But we support each other's combined goals, like the relationship goals, and then we support each other's individual goals. She has been one of my biggest cheerleaders. We also keep each other accountable every single week with what we call accountability check-ins, where every single week on a Monday, we will take the day off and we will talk about, like it's like a couples day, and we will talk about her life, my life, the relationship, how it's all going, what we would like to improve, anything we're unhappy about, like how can we start solving that problem and make it so that we're happy. Like we will talk about 5 things or a bunch of different things, but 5 things at least every single day that we're very grateful for. So at the end of the day, I will tell her 5 things that I'm grateful for with her and with my life in general, with you, my audience. I'm very grateful for all of you for being here, for helping me pay the bills, for having courage and inspiring me by running towards your own fears and your goals. Anyway, and so I will then fuck probably like 100 times throughout the day as well. Just tell her I'm grateful. I bet if I pull up I'm not going to do it, but if I was to pull up my messages and check the last couple of messages that she sent me, yeah, okay. So she literally this morning, 3 hours ago, sent me a message saying, "You're a good partner, Andy." Okay, I scroll back earlier, yesterday, last night. "I love you and I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you being so understanding and loving towards me all the time, Andy. I really appreciate it." Yeah, so like we send each other these messages all the time. Gratitude and praise and love and expression of love is a very big part of our relationship. We praise each other constantly. And obviously, the fun stuff that a lot of you will care about, we date and we sleep with women together. We have threesomes, we explore kink, and that's a beautiful and, let's be honest, incredibly fucking sexy part of our relationship as well. So all of this is context for everything that I'm about to say. I really like my relationship with Imogen. I wouldn't have been with her for 6 years at this point if it wasn't for that. We have matching tattoos. I know it's hard to see, but my tattoo has a moon. It's a boy. Fuck, it's hard to show you this. It's a boy handing a girl a moon, and the moon is like a balloon. And then she has a tattoo which has a rocket ship and a moon. And this was sort of our commitment to each other. And I said, "I will give you the moon. Like, I will give you the whole world if you want that." And she was like, "And I want to go to the moon with you. I want to build this. I want to have self improvement mindset. I want us to like go to the moon together and do beautiful things." So very committed to each other, very much deeply in love, and we have taken a very self-improvement mindset. We've focused on improving the relationship, like progress, not perfection, and we've treated it almost like, any other self-improvement project. We have deliberately gotten in there every single day and tried to build the most beautiful relationship that we possibly could by focusing on improving. We don't have to be perfect. We give each other permission to suck, but we've just gotten in there every single day consistently for the last 6 years. We've focused on the little tiny details and taking little baby steps to improve things and make it just a little bit better each and every week. And that adds up over time. Over 6 years, that's over 300 and something weeks, 312 weeks of progress. That's a lot. That really adds up. And you can go from, at the start, we had no idea what the fuck we were doing in a relationship. You can go from that, and we argued a fair bit, and not a lot, but like we argued at least every couple of weeks. We would argue about something. Go from that to like a point where we now haven't argued in like a year and a half. Like, what the fuck would we argue about? We would just talk about it casually and blah, 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 blah. So you can go from that, but that's something you build. And this podcast here today is me talking about, I'll just pick I've picked three concepts that have really helped us a lot that I've learned. These are three things that I've learned from dating a woman for 6 years. And so the very first one, and this is something that my mother told me when I asked for relationship advice from her early on. She said, you won't always like each other, and that's okay. She also phrased it as, you won't always like each other. Your job is not to like them. Your job is just to love them. And sometimes you won't like each other. Sometimes you might be believing your own stories. You might have a lot of negative thoughts about them. You might just be grumpy. You might both be going through something. All of these different things might be happening that mean in that moment, you might not be fully fucking enjoying your company with that person. There are strategies that you can do during that, and I've talked about them a lot in my content. On my channel, I have a playlist. This one here, you can just click on the relationships playlist. It's on my channel, and I have done a metric ton of content about how Imogen and I have built our relationship. Literally everything we've learned, like misconceptions, how we've navigated the jealousy and sort of the insecurity that can come up from an open relationship. How we do a relationship review every year where we go over the relationship almost like with a fine-tooth comb and improve it and focus on building and what we love and what we're grateful for, all this kind of stuff. And we've applied these same techniques to the girl that we've been seeing now. We've been dating a girl for about a year, and we're seeing other girls on top of her, but we've seen her for a year as well. So I guess you could say we've built two relationships sort of in a way. It's more like a casual relationship, but there's intimacy and a lot of affection and love for her. Like, we really like her as a person. She's wonderful. But the point is, you might not always like your partner, or you might be going through some stories in your head that you haven't really questioned and dissected. Because if you don't like someone else, it's because of something that you're thinking and that you're believing and stuff like that. So we will dissect that and get into there and be like, why am I grumpy at my partner right now? And it's almost always because I'm not happy with my own life. When I am happy with my life, it's very easy to like my partner. When I'm grumpy and unhappy with my own life, it's very easy to dislike my partner. And so we always bring it back to ourselves. If you don't like the other person, hey, what inside myself can I change? Because I can't change the other person, but I can change my thinking and the things I'm believing and my actions and all of that. So we'll focus on that. But there are a lot of times when we've been grumpy with each other. Again, not so much recently, but for the first couple of years, all the time we were grumpy with each other, and we would believe our own stories and we'd get very impatient, but we were able to sort of switch it around in our head. And this happened slowly over time. It took us a lot of practice. We were able to start seeing things as a learning moment. Like if your partner doesn't put the dishes away, which is something that I do. I usually leave the kitchen pretty messy. If I don't put the dishes away, for a long time, Imogen was just impatient with that and grumpy and like, why are you leaving the kitchen all messy? Like, come on, like, please clean it up. I've asked you quite a few times. At some point, we were able to both switch that around and go, okay, my partner seems to like the kitchen being messy. What can I learn from this? How can I benefit from them leaving the kitchen messy? Like, maybe they are my perfect teacher if I can see this as an opportunity to learn something. Okay, I'm learning that Andy doesn't give a fuck about the kitchen being cleaned. Cool. I've learned something. People have different rule books. Imogen's rule book is I have to have the kitchen clean. Andy's rule book is it's okay if the kitchen is messy for a day or two. Okay, cool. Like we just have different perspectives, different preferences, different things that we care about. Beautiful. Isn't it wonderful how human beings are all different? And there are some examples of things that I like to do that she doesn't. And for a long time, I got very grumpy with that. And I was like, why is she doing this? This is wrong. And if you can instead, like I said, see that as a learning lesson, see it as, man, other people aren't wrong. They just have a different preference. Wow, I'm literally becoming more open-minded. And from that, you can start seeing the things that your partner do or does that used to annoy you and make you grumpy and make you dislike them. You can start seeing them as a beautiful learning lesson of like, oh shit, like I'm practicing my empathy. I'm starting to realize that the world doesn't fucking revolve around me. I'm going from childhood to almost adolescence because it's a childlike notion, and most human beings are stuck in childhood. I was for most of my life. I still am to some degree. I'm just a little bit less of a child now. But it's a very childlike notion to believe that everybody else should do what you want. And yet, that's how most human beings go through their life. They're like, this person shouldn't do that. They should do this. They should do this. My way is right and yours is wrong. This is good. You're bad. It's just the way that most human beings are. It's a very childlike, and there's innocence in that, but it's a very childlike notion. Even, if you run a YouTube channel, you start to see this. People will just like leave you criticism and you're like, your opinion isn't correct. It isn't the only opinion, because someone else will then jump in and be like, no, bro, I actually disagree. I think that this is correct. And then they'll kind of argue with each other and like disagree. And it's like, do neither of you realize that maybe you're both correct? Or maybe you're both incorrect? Or maybe there is no correct and incorrect. You're both just saying your preferences. Can you not both just have separate preferences? And being in a relationship with Imogen for 6 years has absolutely taught me that. There are some things that is just her preference, some things that are my preference, and those two things don't have to clash. It doesn't have to be me steamrolling over the top of her and telling her to, something that she does a lot is like leaving clothes on the floor. I don't have to steamroll over the top of her and make her pick them up. She doesn't have to steamroll over the top of me and make me clean the kitchen. It can just be, all right, you leave clothes on the floor, I leave a kitchen messy. What if we either just accept that, or I will pick up your clothes and you will clean the kitchen because you're the one that wants the clean kitchen. I'm the one that wants a clean floor. So why don't we just do the thing that we want? Or if we don't want to do that, we can pay a maid. Housekeeping is like $20 an hour for you Americans. That's Australian dollars. For you Americans, it's like $12 to $15 an hour. Like it's ridiculously cheap. It's like I'll just pay $15 like twice a week. I'll pay $30 a week US dollars for someone to clean my house twice. Like cool. Then the kitchen's clean. Like it's an easy solution. But if you can accept, I'm not always going to like my partner. Sometimes I'm going to get grumpy. Sometimes, like I'm an emotional human being. Sometimes I'm just going to have emotions and I'm going to project them onto the other person. I'm going to take it out on them, so to speak. Okay. Like that's okay. But a lot of the time people make it into a big deal and they go, fuck, I don't like my partner. Something must be wrong. Or I'm grumpy at my partner. Oh my God, the magic is gone. Oh my God, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There'll be times, or there has been times in my relationship with Imogen, in my life really, where I'm going through some shit. Like lockdowns and all of that nonsense during 2020 was I responded with a lot of stress during that time. So did Imogen. And so that was a very tense time for our relationship. And that will happen in life. One of you might get cancer. One of you might get fired. You might go through depression. This might happen. You might gain weight. You might flirt with your secretary and, it's innocent, but your wife fucking hates you for a couple of weeks until she realizes that until you talk about it. And so life happens. Things will happen. You might not always have sunshine and rainbows in your relationship. If you can be okay with that, and in fact, see that as a beautiful thing and go, oh shit, like this is a chance to learn something, then relationships, or the relationship, goes a hell of a lot more smoothly. And you see every day as a gift. I get to wake up and every day is a gift. If Imogen is fucking grumpy with me one day, I can be like, wow, cool. How can I learn from this? Like, why is she grumpy? What's going on? Is there something I can do to help her? Do I just give her space? Like, how do I help her solve this problem? It's fun. It's like a puzzle that I get to solve. It's puzzle solving. And that's a big part of what relationships are. They're puzzle solving. It's not necessarily, oh, I want to have the feeling there every day of sunshine and rainbows and everything's perfect and it's wonderful. If you can be okay with everything that's happening, if you can accept, You know, that your partner might be grumpy sometimes. If you can just be like, oh, she's grumpy today. Okay, cool. Great. Amazing. I'm here for that. Or she's going to be grumpy. I don't want to be here for that. Cool. I'll just give myself some space and I'll do my own thing and I'll have a lot of love for her. But, you know, I'll give myself a bit of space. We do that sometimes. Like, hey, look, I'm just not in a great mood today. Do you mind if we just do our own separate thing? Yeah, brilliant. We say that like all the fucking time. We basically said that today. I said that today. I was like, look, we're hanging out, but I think I would feel better if I sat down and recorded like 3 pieces of content today. I haven't done any content today. This is like this live right now that you're listening to. This is the 3rd thing. So this is me almost finished now. But I said to her a couple of hours ago, I haven't done any content. I want to record 3 bits of content. Do you mind if we do our own thing? Because I'm just like not fully present right now with you. I'd feel a bit better if I record 3 bits of content. You know, it feels good helping people. Obviously, that brings more people into the coaching program. We get more money. We can pay off the tax debt, all of that kind of stuff. I'm going to go do some of my own shit. Is that cool? And of course, the answer is like, yeah, sure, great. We say that to each other like multiple times a week. So if you can be okay with whatever emotions that your partner might be going through, oh my God, relationships are so much easier. And if you can then go one step above that and love whatever emotions they're currently feeling. In other words, if you can see it as a good thing, even when they're grumpy, if you can see their grumpiness or the fact that they don't currently like you or the fact that you're not currently liking them, if you can see that as a potential good thing, a learning opportunity, a chance to solve this puzzle, a chance to give yourself some space, a chance to give yourself a bit of self-love and focus on your own life rather than expecting your partner to be the one that makes you happy, oh my God, then you no longer fear the moments when they're going to be grumpy or the moments where they don't like you or you don't like them. You don't fear arguments anymore. You're not living in perpetual fear, which I think a lot of people do. Living in perpetual fear of like, what if something goes wrong? What if they cheat on me? What if this? What if we have a fight? What if they get cancer? What if they die? What if they ever don't like me anymore? What if they break up with me? What if they cheat? It's like you let go of all of that and you're like, well, then they cheat on me or they break up with me. That's cool. Like, there's probably 5 reasons why that could be a good thing. Or I will find 5 reasons why that could be a good thing. If they cheat on me, great, fantastic. That frees me up to go and find a partner that will be committed to me, that will help me like work through my biggest fear. My biggest fear happened. They cheated on me and I'm still okay. Hey, that's kind of cool. Like the thing that I was most terrified happened and I'm okay. So, you know, you find ways to process that stuff. But I've really come to see that my supposedly imperfect partner, you know, Imogen, is really my perfect teacher. You know, for a long time, I would be like, man, why is she so imperfect? Why is she crying? Why is she sad? Why is she this? Why can't she just chill out? Why can't she, you know, and she would think those same things about me. She'd be like, why can he not just be happy and perfect and peaceful all the time? And it's like, if you can see that imperfect partner as your perfect teacher, and in those moments where they're sad or grumpy or unhappy or whatever, hey, what can I learn from this? Man, you start to be grateful for everything. You're grateful when they're happy. And you're grateful when they're not. You're grateful when they want to spend time with you. You're grateful when they want some space. You can see them saying to you, can I have some space? You see that as a beautiful thing that they're giving themselves. You're like, hey man, I love that you're able to ask for some space when you need it. I love that you're able to give that to yourself. That's a beautiful gift. Rather than what I think a lot of people do, which is they see it as a rejection. You know, how many of you listening right now, maybe you're in a relationship or maybe you've had some in the past, if your partner says to you, I need some space, does that feel good for a lot of you? Probably not. You probably like take it personally. You're probably like, fuck, like something's wrong. Like space, why do they need space? And you might give it to your partner because you love them or you care about them, but something inside of you hurts a little bit because you're like, fuck, like why do they need space? Like, are we growing apart? But if you can see, you know, the phrase, can I have some space, as a beautiful thing, and if you can fully step into that and go, fuck yeah, I want you to have space. That's amazing. Sometimes I need space too. And you asking for space right now frees me up to ask for space in the future if I need it. Because you've asked for space and nothing bad happened. In fact, it was a beautiful thing because you got to go have this space. And now I get to sit here and be grateful because now it's going to be easier for me to ask for space in future if I need it. Hey, that's amazing. I don't need you to always be with me all the time. I don't need you to always be happy all the time. You want whatever you want. If you want space, that's amazing. If you want to be with me, that's amazing. I'm going to be here focusing on my own mission. You go do your space thing. I'm going to be here, you know, doing my mission, working on my goals, seeing my friends, doing my shit. Amazing. And so basically, Imogen and I realizing that you don't have to always like each other has ironically made it way easier to like each other. Like we just permanently like each other. She could be like so unbelievably grumpy, which is pretty rare, but she could be so unbelievably grumpy. And I'm in love with that. I'm like, great, be grumpy. That's amazing. That's who you are right now in this moment. I don't have any judgment towards it. I don't think you shouldn't be grumpy. I did used to think that. I used to think like, fuck, she shouldn't be so grumpy. She should be more happy. She should be more grateful. She should be more present, all of that kind of shit. But now I can be like, hey, you're grumpy. That's amazing. Cool. And tomorrow you might be happy. That's cool. Isn't it cool how humans go up and down? Isn't that interesting? Like one moment we're happy, then something happens that we don't want and we get sad, and then we're happy again when we get what we want, and then we're sad when we get what we want. Wow, we're all like little children. We throw a tantrum when we don't get what we want, and then when we do get what we want, we're happy. I do the same thing, by the way. That's why I said I'm still very much a child too. I'm just a little bit less childlike than I was, maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And so progress, not perfection, but realizing that I won't always like my partner and she might not always like me, and being okay with that, literally saying, and that's okay. That's why I put that on the screen. I said, you won't always like each other, and that's okay. That last bit, that and that's okay bit, is the real freedom. Realizing it's okay to not always have sunshine and rainbows. Do your own thing, keep your own independence, live your own life, love and support your partner, and say, hey, you're grumpy right now. That's cool. I get grumpy too sometimes. Thank you for the learning lesson. I'm learning that you won't always be happy in a relationship, and I won't always be happy. And then we can, from that place of acceptance, work on the next step, which might be being or doing something, changing something to be more happy. We can start solving that problem. But if we sit there and say, you're supposed to always be happy, like, why are you unhappy? Why don't you like me? Shit, something must be wrong because you want space. Fuck, what's wrong? You're then not in a great headspace to actually improve the thing, to take some action. So that has been a big game changer for both of us. The next big thing I've learned from 6 years with this wonderful girl, and again, 1 year with the other girl that we've been dating, is love is something that you build rather than something that you just find. People talk all the time about finding your soulmate, finding love. We randomly met each other. It's like, that's brilliant. If you magically found the person that's going to, you're going to be happy with them for the rest of your life. But for the rest of us who live on, this earth rather than in the clouds, in fucking magical fairyland, love is something, or I will say it's not so much love, but maybe like a solid relationship is something that you build. If you just rely on finding love and the feeling of love, I've talked about this in so many recent videos. If you just rely on the feeling of love, what are you going to do in the moments when that feeling isn't there? And in the previous one, like I talked about, there's just so many moments in my relationship and, my mother and my father's relationship, and everyone that I've ever asked who's old and has been in a relationship for a long time tells you, yeah, there are some moments you don't really have sunshine and rainbows. Usually it's because you're going through some shit or your partner is going through some shit. And it's often not even a reflection on the relationship. They're just stressed or you're stressed. And so the relationship isn't amazing. Like, it's still good or it's decent. It's not like you sit there fucking hating yourself. If you do, I would go to couples counseling. I would do something to improve that, obviously. I wouldn't let it get to that point in the first place. But, you're at least, you have an okay relationship. It's not sunshine and rainbows, because in that moment, one or two of you is stressed. Sometimes that can last for a day, sometimes weeks, sometimes a couple of months even. If it lasts beyond that, I would do something to change it. I'd go to couples counseling or see a therapist or something like that. Start reading some books or do some inner work on yourself. I would start with yourself. But, sometimes there are periods where that love feeling or that happy, giddy butterfly in the stomach feeling, it kind of just isn't there. And the relationship is just good or decent. But if you sit there focusing on, I want to find love, I want to find romance, I want to find the one, you won't actually get to work building the damn thing. And you're just relying on a feeling. What do you do when the feeling goes? Feelings come and go. Think about it. Feelings come and go at the drop of a hat. Think about a time, maybe a partner or, someone that you were just infatuated with. And then, I don't know, you saw a fucking picture of them kind of with someone else's arm around them. And it was just friendly. It was at a party or something. But you saw someone else like with their arm around them. And you had that little feeling of like, oh, what is that? I don't like that. Like, are they cheating on me? What's going on? The feeling just fucking disappeared in like that. Imagine I show you proof that, like, I show you a picture of like a text conversation of like your partner, the one that you feel love and excitement with, is cheating on you. I show you a fucking screenshot. That feeling just goes immediately, doesn't it? So we kind of understand that feelings come and go. If I like you might be going through something right now and you're not feeling great. If I tell you, hey, you just won $1 million in the lottery, boom, all of your problems probably go away and you're immediately feeling amazing. And then if a day later I say, oh, sorry, there was actually a problem with the money, so you're not going to get any of the money, you're straight back down, probably feeling worse than you were 2 days ago. So you go from down to up, feeling like on top of the world, and then straight back down again. Emotions just come and go. That's why I don't rely on motivation. I don't rely on, feeling like I'm motivated. I don't rely on energy levels and like, do I feel like doing content today? No, I rely on building. I rely on baby steps. That's why I talk about giving yourself permission to suck, just taking a baby step forward every day and building this damn thing. Imogen and I are focused on improving our relationship 1% each week. And then over time, we have built everything that we've built. It's been a general, gradual process. It hasn't been just relying on feelings. And I talk again so much about this concept in a lot of my content. So again, go on to my relationships playlist on my channel. Look, there's literally a video here that I did recently, 3 days ago, called Is Romance and the One, as in trying to find the one, is that killing your relationship or is it stopping you from building a relationship? We never fight in our relationship. Here's how. There's so much here. Love is not a feeling, it's an action. In this one, I talk about the actual steps that Imogen and I have taken. This one here, be patient with your partner. They're not you. That's me talking about the fact that you might not always like each other and what to do about it. We talk a lot about honesty. We talk a lot about self-improvement. Again, the concept of the one is bullshit, but romance isn't necessarily. Want a long-lasting relationship? Do this. Find people. Like, there's so much advice in here. I've done I think 20 of 34 videos where I've poured a lot. And Imogen's been there on a lot of them. We've done them together. We've put a lot into these. These are honestly probably the videos that I've put the most effort in, which is funny because they're not relevant to quite a few of you because some of you are just in the dating and the sex phase. But that said, some of these have like a couple thousand views. So some of you are obviously into these. But the point that I'm getting at is we've built everything that we've built. And all of my friends that I know that have been in relationships for as long as we have 5 or 10 years. I have a friend that's been in a relationship for about 10 years. I coached Imogen and I coached a couple. We basically did couples. It wasn't couples counseling, but it was we coached a couple that had been together for 10 years. And we literally coached them on shit like this. They had a great relationship. They were like, we love our relationship, but we're looking to take it to the next level. We want to learn how to build, go even deeper. And spend every week just aiming to be 1% better. And so Imogen and I helped them put into place a lot of the stuff that we do, weekly couples days where you have an accountability check-in, how are your goals going? How are my goals going? How can we make the relationship better? We gave them a whole list of strategies of building a relationship, everything we've done. We talked about doing an annual review, which is once a year, Imogen and I will sit down and write literally 100 things that we're happy with, sometimes more than that, over the last year that we've achieved together, that we're happy with, that we're grateful for, and then we will plan out what we want to do for the next year. How do we make this relationship even better? We will every single week reflect back on the last 6 years of our relationship. We do this every week. We'll literally go, hey, over the last 6 years of our relationship, what are we grateful for? And what are 3 things, 3 reasons we're in a better position now than we were a couple of years ago. Basically, how have we made progress and how can we reflect back on how far we've come so that we're always grateful for it. So we're not just taking things for granted, not appreciating things. We'll be man, 2 years ago, we used to argue sometimes. Now we never argue. Man, I'm really grateful for that. Holy crap, we've done a lot. How many hundreds or thousands of conversations have we had so that we can get a deeper understanding of each other? How many concepts do we now understand? How many philosophies about relationships, about life, about empathy, about the opposite sex, about all of that kind of stuff, connection, intimacy, the way the brain works and psychology. How many of these concepts do we now understand that we didn't understand 3 or 4 years ago? And that's why we were arguing all the time. The only reason anyone argues is ignorance. The only reason wars are started is ignorance. The only time you ever suffer, Buddhism, this is from Buddhism, the only suffering is from ignorance. Byron Katie says the only suffering is from confusion. When you just don't understand something, you suffer. As soon as you understand, it is impossible to ever suffer ever again. Because you're oh, I understand that. I know why it's happening. Cool. Now I can change it. I can do something about it. But the only time we suffer is when we're why is this happening to me? God hates me. It's unfair. Why do women treat me like this? Why can't I make any money? You suffer when you don't understand. And so we will reflect back on and be grateful for all the things that we do understand. And so again, yeah, we gave couples coaching, I guess you would say, for 12 weeks with this couple. We made some massive improvements. They did some amazing shit. And by the end of it, they were like, holy crap, like, we think you've given us like 10 years worth of improvement in our relationship in like 12 weeks. So that was a blast. If any of you were interested in something like that, you know, maybe you're in a relationship. I've done that separately as well. I've done like separate, I guess you would call it couples counseling. I had one couple where I sat down with the guy for like 3 hours, and then his girlfriend came into the room, he left, and then I sat down with her for another 2 hours. It was like a 5-hour fucking coaching marathon for me. My God, that was tiring. But I basically just coupled or coached this couple one after the other for like 5 hours straight and made some insane fucking changes just in that one session. So if that's something that appeals to any of you, I'm happy to do the $200 coaching calls that I offer, where it's like you'll sit down with me, you know, for a couple of hours. I'm very happy to do that with a couple. Imogen is happy to be there as well. I'm very happy to do that with one, if you're in a relationship, one of you separately. Obviously, we have the coaching program too. You would be very welcome in there. We'll get in there, change your life, do all that good, beautiful stuff. I will leave links in the description below to both of those. And then let's talk about the third thing. Your partner is going to change over the relationship. And if you want to put a positive spin on that, you can call it growing. In other words, your partner is going to change, and that's great because it means that you're both evolving. So the person that you're with at the start of a relationship is not the person that you'll be with 5 years later. They'll have changed. And this, again, came from my mother. All of these three things came from my mother. So shout outs to my mother. I'm going to do several videos. This is going to end up being a series where I just do relationship advice that my mother taught me. And man, she gave me like 20 different things that are all just like mind-blowingly good, because she and my father have been together for like, I don't know, like 40 years or something, 50 years, 40 years, like 40 years or something. And my grandparents were together for like, I think they were together for like something insane, like 60 years or something, because they met when they're in their 20s. And so they would have been together for like 50 something years, whatever. Anyway, 50 years. And then like my parents together for like 40 years. So combined, they've given me 90 years worth of like advice or experience distilled down into advice. And man, some of the things they've given me have been amazing. But this one came from my mother. You know, your partner is going to change, and that's great. Like, that's a good thing. Obviously, if they change into someone that you really don't click with anymore, then you'll figure out what to do. But that kind of doesn't really happen if you put in place a lot of the structure. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's far less likely to happen if you put in place all the structures that, like I said, I gave to the coaching clients and that Imogen and I do, which is like a weekly couples day where you literally like go through with a fine-tooth comb every detail or most of the details of the relationship. Like, what are we happy with? What are we unhappy with? What do we want to improve? And then you do that in your own life too. And if you both have a self-improvement mindset and you're both constantly asking yourself, what do I want and how do I make that happen? If you're living a life of like freedom, like I talk about, and going for the things that you want, you don't get to a point where you like don't like your partner anymore. But a big part of that is accepting that they are going to change and evolve, especially if you have a very self-improvement mindset, self-improvement focused mindset like I do and like Imogen does. Our relationship is built on self-improvement. It's built on me going for my goals, her going for her goals, and then us going for relationship goals, and just constantly doing that nonstop. And we take like a day off every week and stuff, but like, we're basically thinking about self-improvement and growth and goals and ambitions and fun, and because that shit's exciting. It's fun to sit there and think about and talk about your hopes and dreams and then start making them happen. That's beautiful stuff. Most people just sit there and fantasize about their hopes and dreams, but they're not really doing anything to make it happen. You right now listening might be one of those people. I mean, statistically, chances are you're one of those people. You're wanting to achieve some of your big goals and hopes and dreams, but you're just sitting there listening to this podcast. You probably have it on in the background right now. You're probably going for a walk or cleaning the house. You're probably right now playing fucking video games, which I like video games too, but you're probably playing video games with this shit just like in the background, giving you a little bit of motivation. It's like, get off your ass if you want to, but get off your ass if you want to, and do something with your fucking life, work towards those goals and hopes and dreams that you have. You're allowed to be happy. You're allowed to be successful. You're allowed to do big, beautiful, ambitious, amazing things, but you got to be the one to do it. Don't just sit there and sort of wait for it to happen. All right, speech over. And if you want more help with this, click the link in the description to coaching, blah, 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 or don't, but do something to change your life. But Imogen and I have definitely had that mindset in our entire relationship. It's like, I'm going to go for my hopes and goals and dreams. You're going to go for yours, and we're going to build the relationship. A big part of that means you're going to be constantly improving and changing. Change being the key word. Like literally, you're going to change. And you might think, oh yeah, but they're changing in a positive way. Yes. Now go be in any of you who haven't, go be in a relationship for 6 years and come back to me and have a chat, and you'll go, oh fuck, man, even the things that I thought would be a positive change was still a change. And therefore it was something for me to have to adapt to. If my partner's changing, I have to adapt to that. You know, Imogen for a long time would look at all the changes that I was making, and that made her feel insecure. Because she's like, holy crap, I'm actually scared that you're going to rocket and shoot further ahead of me because I'm 12 years older than her. When we met, she was 18, I was 30. And so, yeah, there's a bit of like a power, or there was a bit of a power imbalance there at the start. I had already achieved quite a few goals. Like I'd already lived a life. I was already 30. She was just fresh out of high school. She's in university. She's like, I don't know who I am or what I want or any of that stuff. I don't know how self-improvement and goals work. I've never achieved anything. She'd achieved things in school, but like never set a goal, took baby steps, daily steps towards it, not quit, done it for long enough until she succeeded. She'd never set and achieved big goals. And so she felt for quite a bit, as I was improving and changing and evolving, she felt left behind or insecure about that. There was then sort of the opposite thing that happened for a little while. She, or part of what I helped her with, something that was very important to me, and she later came to see that it was important for her. She wanted it at the start, but over time she started to realize how much she wanted it. Was from the very start, I was like, look, you're really submissive. That's amazing. That's great. But I'm never certain if you're doing something because you actually want to or because you're scared of saying no to me. And therefore, I can never know if when I'm encouraging you to do something, you actually want me to encourage you, or if you're just going to do it and then a year later go like, man, I wish I hadn't done that. I was only doing that because I thought that it would be good for me and I thought Andy wanted it, but I didn't actually want to do it. And so very early on, I made it clear. I was like, look, I want you. It's important to me, and I'm telling you it's going to benefit your life. Is this something you want? I want you to be a more assertive human being. I want you to have boundaries. I want you to be able to say no to me and be okay with disappointing me. That was something that she was very afraid of because she grew up with a Chinese father who just fucking drilled into, like most Asian parents, do this, do that, do what daddy does. You have to go to university. I need you to be a doctor, do all this. And she went to a private school and she was used to just being told what to do all the time and doing what she was told like a good little girl, but almost like a good little slave is a strong word, but it's the word that comes to mind. Like a good little bitch, like shut the fuck up and do what you're told, do what society tells you, do what school tells you, do what daddy tells you, shut the fuck up and do what you're told. And I wanted to help her become more assertive so that I could trust that if she said to me, I want to do something, she actually meant it instead of just trying to please me. I didn't want her to be a little slave pleasing me all the time. And so I worked very hard with her to help her with her self-esteem and her ability to say no. We got her to read books like No More Mr. Nice Guy. When I say no, I feel guilty. You can't afford the luxury of a negative thought. I Need Your Love, Is That True? All of these different books, Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, all of these books on how to be a more assertive person and say no and be okay with other people, being a little disappointed sometimes and build that backbone. That sounds like an amazing thing, doesn't it? It's my partner changing, it's Imogen changing, but in a very beautiful way that would ultimately benefit me, right? Like, yes, but that was a fucking process to go through. I went from having a girlfriend who was extremely submissive and would just like be very agreeable, and I could just say something. I could be like, hey, let's go out for pizza. And she'd be like, okay. And I'd be like, wow, this is easy. I went from that to having a period where as she was learning to say no, which was something she'd never done in her entire life, because again, grown up with like Chinese parents, and she loves her dad very much and her dad loves her, but he was the classic Asian parent who's just like, do what daddy says all the time. Shut the fuck up. You're not allowed to say no. Like, do what you're told. So she went from saying yes to me all the time, and it was very frictionless and easy, to saying no all the time. She literally went through a period that I called the terrible twos. And I meant that in a joking way. But you know how kids go through a period they call the terrible twos, where the kids are just like, no. And you're like, what do you mean no? Like 6 months ago, everything that I said, you just said yes to because you wanted to be good or you wanted to make me happy or whatever. Now you're saying no to everything. I'm like, hey, go have a shower because you're covered in fucking mud before you come and sit on the couch. And you're like, no. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, please go have a shower. You're covered in mud. No. And it's like, fuck, what do I now? Now I have to figure out what to do. How do I deal with this? That's why they call it the terrible twos. And obviously, that's part of a child learning, you know, boundaries and the ability to say no, learning why rules exist instead of just blindly following every rule that the parent gives them. So it's a beautiful process, but it's also a bit of a learning curve for the parent who's going through it. And Imogen and I went through that, where literally I would say the most basic shit that before she was happy to do. I'd be like, hey, would you mind grabbing me a glass of water while you're in the kitchen? And she'd be like, I'd rather not. And I'd be like, how come? Like, you didn't have to get me a glass of water, but like fucking 3 months ago, you would have just, like, why? And then she'd be like, well, because I'm trying to learn boundaries. And I'd be like, yeah, you're right. Okay, fuck yeah. I'll get up and get the water. So it was a process of adjustment for both of us on something that is ultimately a beautiful thing. I want her to have more boundaries. It is a beautiful self-improvement thing for her to go from no boundaries to where she is now, where she has an incredible fucking backbone. And she would just say whatever she wants and what she doesn't want. It's amazing. I can trust her that everything she's doing is because she wants to, not because she's worried about disappointing me or someone else. It's amazing where she's at right now. But there was an adjustment period. And so your partner, I've come to see that your partner is going to change in a relationship, even if that's in a positive way, but you are going to be used to the old them. And it's almost like every day they're waking up like a phoenix reborn from the ashes. That's where my username or my brand comes from. Kill your inner loser. It's something that sort of one of my friends said. He was like, man, every day it's like we go to sleep and then we die in our sleep and we wake up the next morning as a new human being. Like if we're into self-improvement, we die every night, we wake up the next morning like a phoenix rising from the ashes, like born anew. And I was like, oh shit, that's amazing. And that's part of where Kill Your Inner Loser comes from. It also comes from Good Looking Loser, who was one of my mentors. And I put the two of them together and some other influences and smashed it all together. That's where Kill Your Inner Loser comes from. And it can feel like, in any relationship really, but especially if you build one on self-improvement, on the concept of like having a growth mindset, both of you ambitious and achieving goals and improving and making progress, your partner is going to die. God, it feels like sometimes every month. Like Imogen is just a different person from who she was a month ago, and so am I. And sometimes you hold on to the past, even if you were less happy in the past, it's still a weird adjustment for your brain to catch up. There's certain things that I used to do several months ago, definitely like a year or two ago. I used to be way more grumpy like a year ago. Now I'm way more peace. Maybe 2 years ago. I used to be way more grumpy like 2 years ago. Now I'm way more peace and love and happiness and spirituality and all of that. When I first started going down this spiritual path of like, and when I say spiritual, I mean like peaceful and like loving and compassion and Buddhism and all of that kind of stuff. When I first started going down that path, that was an insane adjustment for Imogen. And she had all sorts of fears. She's like, what if you become so non-attached and peaceful and loving that you like don't care about the relationship anymore? What if you're just all happy and accepting and you say like, namaste, like the relationship is perfect as it is? And what if I say to you, but can we improve this thing? And you're like, my child, like everything in the relationship is perfect. Like there is no imperfection. Like just accept She was worried that like, what if you become so accepting that you don't listen to me anymore when it comes to improving a relationship? What if you become, this was another fear that she had like maybe 6 months ago. She's like, wow, you've been way more peaceful and loving lately. I'm kind of worried that you might just, I don't know, go sit on the street on the corner and just sit there and just be like peaceful and loving and like, I can't get you to come back home or something. You're just like living on the street now like some Buddhist monk. For a while, she was afraid that I was going to go live in the mountains and just do fucking like Zen Buddhism or something and like live on a rock and next to a stream and just sit there just going namaste to all the flowers and like kissing fucking flowers and kissing rocks and looking up at the sky and be like, namaste. And then like look down at the ground, namaste. And then look at the fucking grass, namaste. And then like kiss every blade of grass and be like, I love every blade of grass as much as I love entire creation. Like she was worried. She was scared that that was going to happen. And we talked through it. We worked through it. But this is what I mean, that if you focus on a self-improvement, if you build a self-improvement relationship, there is going to be change there. That is the point. And every relationship has change. It's just that most people's change is a little bit slower, but they still come face to face with this. It's why my mother was able to say this. My mother does not have a self-improvement mindset. Neither does my dad. They've built things, but they're not sitting there achieving goals and ambitions and shit like that. They're like normal people, so to speak. And so will my grandparents. But even they go through changes, all sorts of changes, physical changes. You age, you might go through a period where, not infidelity. My parents, I've asked both of them and they've been quite honest about it. And they've said like, no, but we did have one time where we almost did, blah, blah, blah. So but like temptations, I'll phrase it like that. My parents have gone through, both of them have gone through periods where they were tempted to like cheat or go off with someone else. And so, and they were honest about that, like with their partner, like with each other. And that was a fucking challenge. Like that was difficult to go through. And so like even normies go through change and uncertainty. And, my dad had cancer for a little bit. My mum had cancer for a little bit, like death in a family, like when all their parents are dead now. But like each one of those, that's 4 parents that died individually. And, great grandparents and relatives and friends and all of that. Each one of those deaths like massively shook up the relationship. And so there is change in a relationship. That's a normal part of it. But especially if you have a self-improvement mindset like Imogen and I do, oh my God, there's just like constant change. The whole point of what you are doing in life is to change and improve and make progress and do beautiful things and go for your hopes and dreams and all of that. And especially if you build an independent life, which is what I've built, what Imogen has built as well. I did a video on this one here. It's in the relationship playlist. Always keep your independence in relationships. And I literally talked about having your own independent life going on and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, if you build an independent relationship, well, like what I mean is they have independence, you have independence, and then you come together and share something beautiful together, they're going to go through changes. You're going to go through changes. That's kind of the fucking point. And so if you can see that as a beautiful thing, and if you can be as patient with them and with yourself as possible and go, yeah, sometimes there's some uncertainty. Sometimes I worry that my partner is literally too peaceful and loving. That was a fear that Imogen had. And then my fear, fuck, you seem to have strong, healthy boundaries now, and that scares me. Things that on the surface seem like the most amazing, beautiful thing ever. Like, wow, what girlfriend wouldn't want a partner that's more peaceful and loving and fucking namaste and like happy and just shares love with other human beings and is more compassionate and kind, literally more kind to other human beings and more compassionate. You might hear that and be like, wow, that sounds amazing. And yet there's some fear associated with that because it is change and human beings fear things that they don't quite understand yet. The fear of the unknown, the fear of change. And so you talk through it, you work through it, you explain. They come to see, oh, okay, he's not going to leave me because he's going to go sit in nature and kiss all the rocks and kiss bunny rabbits and kiss the water and kiss the sky. He's going to be Andy, but more compassionate. And me too. I was worried, like, fuck, if she has more healthy boundaries, what is that? What if her boundaries become so strong that I'm like, hey, can I hug you? And she's like, no, it's not time for a hug. Like, what if like we dissolve the whole fucking relationship because she decides she's not happy or some shit and she was unhappy the entire time, but she just didn't have the boundaries to tell me. That was something I was really terrified of. I really was terrified of that. I think she was terrified of that too, because she was like, a big part of the reason why I've been with you is because, I don't know, I fucking just do what I'm told, and we kind of just were in a relationship and we slowly built it and it's been beautiful. But like, how do I know if that's what I actually wanted? We went through a period where she wasn't 100% sure. And I was like, well, are you happy with me? And she's like, yeah. But I thought I was happy doing what my dad told me to do my whole life. And no, I'm not. I was just doing what he said because I was scared. So like there was an adjustment period. We had to go through that and work through that together. So there is change in a relationship, especially if you're growing and learning every day. And what's really helped is us just being as patient with each other as we can be, patient with ourselves, and focusing on our own beautiful lives. Me having my own goals, my own friends, my own hobbies, my own shit going on, so that if she changes, that's cool. I am consistent. Like I'm me. And then her doing the same. So that if Andy changes and Andy becomes some like namaste fucking dude sitting on rocks and, being a hippie all the time, well, that's cool because I, Imogen, have all my friends, all my hobbies, all my different, things that she does at the moment. She's obsessed with like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, like BJJ. She's been doing that for like 2 years at this point. I can't remember the belts. How funny is that? Purple belt. Whichever belt is the one that you get when you're set after the set, like you get one upgrade. So she's at the purple belt stage. She's pretty fucking good. she'd kick my ass, but I have a secret weapon. I can tickle her, and she loses every time we try and compete with each other immediately because I just start tickling, which is cheating, but fuck it. What are you going to do? I'm a cheater. So yeah, those are some of the things that have helped, or some of the learning lessons that I have had from being with Imogen for 6 years. And like I said, the other girl that we've been dating for over a year now. And a lot of these come from my mother. I will do a full video series on these and talk about some more things that my mother taught me. If you would like more help with this, if you want more help with sex, with dating, with business, any of that sort of stuff, join my coaching. You can jump on a cheap $200 coaching call with me. Those go for a couple of hours as long as we need. Get in there, change your life, do all that good stuff. The link is in the description below. I also have a hardcore coaching program, which is down there. You can check out all the testimonials from all the other people. And right now I will run the little coaching outro. As always, ladies and gentlemen, go out there and crush those goals. How long are you going to wait before you demand the best of yourself? These guys didn't wait. They joined my coaching program and gave themselves the life that they've been dreaming of. Taylor had a threesome, tons of sex, learned to be honest with his intimate partners, and fully embraced a more peaceful, happy, and loving mindset. Laz more than doubled his income from $25K to $45K a month, as well as having more sex than he could handle, all while fully embracing honesty and authenticity. Corky learned to love himself instead of always beating himself up. Oh, and he had a threesome, sex with 7 women, and started his own business. Want to do what they've done? Join our coaching program, and I and the other coaches will pour our heart and soul into giving you the life that you've dreamed of. No more waiting. Now is the right time. Link in the description below.